Hey everyone, it's Justine and welcome to another video for Ellen Hutson. Today I wanted to create some Christmas cards that were non-traditional. I ended up sticking to one card because I'm doing a pop-up card, so it's a little bit longer of a tutorial than usual. So I didn't go with a set of cards this month, rather just one card in itself. I wanted to use some non-traditional colors to keep things really fun. Another really great way to use this stamp set. So it is a traditional snowman stamp set with the outline and all the accessories, but there is this solid one. And when I had originally stamped out the outline, I realized I'd have to go in and die cut all of the little pieces for the snowman if I wanted to create something. And I wanted to create a very quick front panel since the inside's going to take me a little bit longer. So if you stamp the solid snowman, you're able to actually go ahead and stamp the accessories over top in black. So the colors I used for the front are Catherine Pooler inks in Coral Cabana, Melon Ice, and Tiki Torch. And then I'm going to go ahead with some Midnight ink and add in some of the details to the snowman. The moment I'm adding their faces, you want the one on the left to face towards the right and the one on the right to face towards the left. The one in the middle, you can choose whichever side of the look you want. I'm going to go in and stamp the arms now, and I'm just doing one side at a time, flipping it over and stamping the other side. They look like they're holding hands. Super cute. I'm now going to go in and add some of the accessories, and as I mentioned, you don't need to do any fancy die cutting here because everything is already sort of in the color. You're just going to stamp over top in black. So I'm adding the same scarf to the one on the left and right for symmetry, and then a different one in the middle. I'm now going to go ahead and add my sentiment here. This sentiment is from an alternative stamp set that I really enjoyed from the new release called Snow Days, and it was one of the smaller sentiments on that one. I'm going to go in now and stamp some of the hats. Now I really liked the solid look. I thought that really brought out the colors, so I went ahead. I wasn't too satisfied with that middle hat being just a plain outline. So I went ahead in with my N8 Copic marker, and I just decided to fill that in as if it were stamped solid. I wasn't trying to do any sort of fancy shading or anything. I also wanted to add a shadow to the bottom of my snowman so that they're not just floating in the air. So I added that starting with N0, then I added N2 directly under the snowman and blended that back out with N0 just to keep things a little more interesting. So now you can see this is where I went in with the N8 and just decided to darken up the hat. I started first with just the band around his head because you could see that green through the hat, but then I just decided to color the whole thing except for the pom-pom. So now comes some of the fun part, and I've created my card front. So I'm going to just throw that off to the side, and I'm going to go ahead and die cut some of the pop-up mittens. Now this is a super fun die set, and you can use the pop-up elements of this die with any sort of die cut that you like. I'm going to be using these mitts. One has a left and a right, which I really like. I'm just going to trace around them so I know whereabouts these mitts are going to be on my paper. Catherine Pooler Designs does not have any matching cardstock, but what you can do is just create your own matching cardstock by doing a direct ink to paper technique. I just need to know where to put my ink, so that's why I'm tracing this. So now that I know where to put my ink, I've traced my outlines of my mitts. I'm going to go in with that Coral Cabana right now, and I'm just going to literally smush this onto my ink. I originally tried sliding it, but I decided I didn't like that, so I just stamped it as if I were inking up a stamp, but instead I'm inking up the paper. You can see how vibrant this ink is. It's one of my favorite colors, and it's one of the newer colors as well. So if you haven't had a chance to pick it up yet, it's a color that I totally recommend. So now I'm going to go back in with those die cuts, and I'm going to go ahead and die cut these two mitts with my Gemini Junior die cutting machine. Once those are all die cut out, I'm going to go ahead with one of the patterns that comes with the stamp set that sort of coordinates with it. The Snow Days, that's where I got the sentiment for the front of the card. And it has a couple of different patterns on it, so you can go ahead and stamp your mitts if you like in so many different patterns, whether it be traditional or something a little bit more modern. And now I'm just going to go ahead and die cut one more piece from the pop-up mittens die set, and it is just the simple part that allows it to pop up. So all the pop-up piece is a rectangle with a few score lines in it. You're going to go ahead and just reinforce those score lines, and they are going to fold into a square. So you just need to die cut one of them. It cuts out two strips, so you have everything you need if you want one thing to pop up in your card. And you could also layer your pop-ups one on top of the other and you make kind of a double pop-up if you want. But I find the card to be quite thick if you do it that way, so I wanted to keep things a little bit thin, not only for shipping purposes, but also for the purpose of laying flat. So I'm going to grab some glue dots. Just make sure that you're using a very strong adhesive here, and I'm going to just adhere these so that they are 2 squares, and then I'm going to adhere the squares together. Now I'm going to show you how to do this. It's important. So you're going to go ahead, add that final one, and then you're going to go ahead and sort of manipulate the square so that it's a diamond, if that makes sense. So the way I manipulated them was I just squeezed them kind of like this, and you want them to go so that you have 2 ends that are coming together and 2 of the points that are kind of going off from side to side. You're going to add a glue dot to the sides that are touching, and then you're going to adhere them together. Now, where you have them adhered, you're going to want to adhere 2 additional glue dots to the top of these pieces, so where my index fingers were, or where the 2 points come together on the one side on the top of that, if that makes sense. So once I add those 2 pieces to the top, as I mentioned, here they are, you're going to put that in the crease of your card. This is going to allow it to pop up and when the crease opens. Now I do realize that my card is a horizontal card panel and my pop-up's vertical, but hey, I like to keep things interesting. This is why things are homemade and not Hallmark, and I don't really care, to be honest with you. But that is something you might want to keep in mind if that is going to bother you. You may want to stamp those snowmen vertically on a A2 card panel. You're then going to grab your holiday mitts here, and you're just going to adhere them to those 2 dots that I just put down. And you're going to want to adhere them so that they don't particularly overlap. Just play with them a little bit. When you close your card, everything should close comfortably. And then when you open it back up, nothing should be damaged if they're done correctly. So I have these beautiful matching holiday mitts for this fun Frosty the Snowman card. And I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I'll be back in December for another one. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. I really appreciate you watching my monthly tutorials here on Ellen. If you're interested in checking out other videos, we'll have some video suggestions for you at the very end of the video. I hope you have all an amazing week. Bye-bye.